back. MTM Radio. Sash, what's good?
Hey, what's up? Sash,
right.
MTM Radio with Larry.
What's up, peoples? We
Nothing much.
back.
What's going on?
We have guests today doing something a little different. We got Derek.
Hi there.
How you doing?
Good, thanks. How
All
are you?
right, good to have you. We have Arthur. How you doing, Art?
Hey Larry, I'm good.
What's going on? It's all right. All right. Derek, you're a lawyer for entertainment,
Correct.
or should I say, an entertainment lawyer? That's
Entertainment lawyer. I also do new media types of work, new technology,
okay.
other arts, some creative arts, but
Okay.
primarily focusing on entertainment, and there's a lot of other activities that relate to that.
All right, that's what's up. And Art, you are into a lot of stuff. So we're gonna.
He didn't say one thing. He said a lot.
Art got his hands into everything. He busy. It's hard to catch him.
I'm like Oliver the Octopus.
Yeah.
So I'm a pastor. I'm a pastor. I'm also a real estate agent, and marketing for the Legal Advocate magazine.
Right.
Just a few things.
Okay, just a
But
few.
a
Just to list a few.
super social justice worker.
Got you.
Yeah.
Nice. All
That
right.
sounds like a lot.
Yeah, man.
A super social justice worker? What exactly does that mean?
So I know you're probably familiar with the Fight for 15.
Okay, yes, I've
So
heard that.
very influential here in New York City, also in Memphis, also with the Ban the Box. Are you familiar with the Ban the Box thing on applications? Like, say for instance, somebody's looking for a job, and once upon a time it would say if you ever been convicted of a felony or whatever like that on the application.
Right,
And
yes.
so a lot of people who were incarcerated, once they checked that, it was a wrap for them. So very influential here in New York City for getting that ban, removed, getting that taken off.
Okay.
And also when President Barack Obama was in office. So I do a lot of work around that. And, the Fight for 15, that also with the Hurricane Sandy relief. So I do a lot of things.
Man, like I said,
A lot
he's
of
busy.
things.
Very influential.
Now,
Awesome.
okay. That I'm gonna have to let that sink in. 'Cause I didn't even know all of that.
Yeah.
Music media and legal stuff, legal terms for music, and
Yes.
talk to us about that. I want to know personally how does that work? Like, what are some of the steps someone would take when they're starting out with their music career, as far as wanting to own their own music and stuff like that?
Record
like,
label.
yeah, like getting a record label
LLCs,
started, LACs.
trademark,
Take us through it.
copyright.
Yeah, okay. I'm starting my own stuff here, and I'm talking to you. Take
How
me
much
through
time
it.
do we have again?
We got
we got some time. We got some time.
So,
I mean,
we could get
don't
a
write a
summary.
book.
Basics.
Don't write a book. But
That's
Yeah.
actually not a bad idea. Maybe I should.
Yeah,
my idea,
you'd
I
be
need my cut.
surprised.
Don't forget my cut.
You can be my agent.
There you go.
I'll negotiate the deal, though.
All right, we'll work it out.
Look, if you're starting out, which, almost everybody, I talk to a lot of folks every day who are starting out or starting labels or getting into the business. It's important to understand and teach yourself or learn about the basics of copyright, because that's really one of the main reasons why people in music make money.
Right.
It's because copyright protects the works of authorship that they create, which are sound recordings, and the term is musical works, but that's a song or a composition.
Right.
So if you're going to be creating those, it's important to keep track of who works on them, who contributes to them.
Right.
You might not be able to go out and get a one-piece document signed by everybody when you're first starting out, and the forms generally on the internet aren't the best.
Right.
But it's good to keep track of what you own, making sure people grant you the rights if you want to be the label or you want to be in charge of your destiny, so to speak.
Right.
If you want to own your own songs, you
Right.
got to create them.
Okay.
You got to, if you co-write, maybe you have somebody assign the rights to you, or they let you administrate the songs.
Now, is that something you help people do? Get that all
Yes.
situated?
All the time,
Okay,
yes.
so-
Because there's a lot of times people act, or they go out and they make something, and then a couple of months later, when it starts to become popular, they call up and they say, "Hi, I've done this, and it's on SoundCloud, or I just YouTube, and I want to take it to the next level." And I
Right.
say, "Well, do you have the producer agreement? Do you have a co-writer split? Do you have signed releases from the other artists, and they go, well, no, they were all my friends, or they did it for free, or I already paid the producer, and I
Okay.
say, well, it's going to be difficult to get something signed now. They're all gone,
Right.
or it's going to cost you more money.
Right, because
So-
you got to find them, right?
You got to find them, and you got to explain to them. You got to convince them to sign the documents.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So when you're producing, or when you're, I should say, creating a song, and let's say you are the artist, and you're the artist that owns like an independent record label. You've had to purchase an LLC. You're an artist, and now you're creating a song. You're writing a song. You have someone produce the song for you. You're saying it's best to have the person who produced the song for you. Let's say you write the song yourself. Do some type of document stating you're the owner of the song, or you. How would that work?
You're talking about the sometimes the difficult part to understand or to get your head around is that a recording that you make, if you're an artist, is comprised of two distinct copyrighted works. One is the song, the composition that you wrote, and the other one is the sound recording in which the song is embodied or recorded. And because those are two different works, there's two different sets of rights,
Okay.
and usually two different types of individuals performing services. So going through the steps that you just described, actually taking a step back, somebody comes to me and they say, I want to be a label.
Right.
What do I need? And I go, well, yeah, you probably need to form a legal entity.
Right.
Okay.
You have a limited liability company is a choice. You have a corporation. You can either be within a corporation. You can either be an S corporation or a C corporation. You could be a partnership. Most people, and you have to decide what state you want to form in. It's kind of a lot to.
Yeah. It
You know,
sounds like a lot
digest.
that you have to.
What if you do a LLC in New York State?
Mhm.
What is that? An S corp, a Inc? I don't know the.
It is actually an LLC. It's
Okay.
different from the other types. It's a
Right.
limited liability company. Usually one benefit people say of a limited liability company is that it can be, if you elect, to be taxed as a pass-through entity, so you don't have double taxation, which happens with a C corp. And also there's more freedom to determine the rules of how to operate the company. You can kind of govern and set up the rules however you want, whereas a corporation, you're subject more to what the statute tells you to do in most states. So you form the LLC, the first step, which basically can run, let's see, it's $200 as a filing fee. You have to publish an advertisement in a couple of newspapers.
like 6 weeks
Publications,
straight in
okay.
New
Yeah,
York
it's a little-
City.
there's
It's
a
a little
lot
bit
of
intricate.
controversy
Yeah,
about
there
that.
is. Yeah.
All right.
But
right.
poof,
Yeah.
you do that, and 2 seconds later, all right, you're a record company. You're an
you're a
indie
record
label.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
And if you're the artist and the label, you really don't need anything else for yourself. You don't need a recording agreement for yourself.
Right.
Okay.
Because you're the
You're
label.
a
I mean,
label.
you're not going to rip yourself off, presumably.
Right.
Right. Hopefully not. That would not be too good.
Depends
yeah.
on what the IRS
You're not
is
going to walk
talking
away
about.
from your label
you know,
to
this is-
somebody else.
To somebody else, right. So then
So-
you have that, and then, like I said, so when you creating a song, if you're working with the producer, you have the freedom to basically do as you want, is what you're saying.
Correct. If you're signed to your own label, you would go into a studio and you don't produce your own material. You have somebody else. Then, depending on what their contributions are, the producer, you would want them to sign. If you're at, let's say, a major label, which is
Right.
outside of this pattern, you'd have a producer agreement. But here, you'd probably have like a 2-page. It can be called a work for hire certificate.
Okay.
Or,
Okay.
A contract of non-disclosure. or something?
That's if you don't want them to say anything, but
Right.
that might include language like that.
Okay, yeah.
But really, it says what it boils down to. It says that all of the work and all of the services and all of the contributions that the producer makes to the recording and to the song are owned by you, the artist.
Oh.
And if they add a verse, if they arrange the song,
Okay.
maybe they come up with a chorus.
Okay.
Maybe they add a bridge to the
Lyric.
song. They add some great effects or they play on it. Well, you don't have to worry about that. Even if they ad-lib and they come in and they sing the
Right.
background vocals, all of those contributions are captured in the document, and you own everything.
Right. Okay.
Gotcha.
That's if you get it signed before you go into the studio, before you pay the producer.
Gotcha. All of this has to be done
That's-
before.
It's very simple. It's a
Okay.
It can be like a 1 or a 2-page document, but
Okay.
if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world.
Gotcha.
But it's just people like to see it in advance if you're going to a label to try to sell or license the recordings that you made to them.
Right. So in that case, you are. Where can we find you? What? Give them. Tell us the outside people. Where can they find you so that you can do all that paperwork
Do all
you
of
just
this for
talked about?
everybody.
Yeah.
In the world.
In the world.
Well, I get
in New
calls-
York.
Well, I work with folks all over the world.
Okay.
I saw you were that you were. I was doing a little bit of research on you because I like to do a little research on my guests before they come in. So I saw that you were working with, I think, over 14 years with Universal Music Group.
Correct.
So what was that like, or what
Well,
were your duties?
Real
exactly
quick
there?
before he answers that, tell them where they can find you.
All right. Physically, I'm located in Manhattan. That's where I'm based. But
Okay.
like I said, I go anywhere. On the internet, probably the easiest way to find me is through my own website. So that's www.desslerpc.com. So
Okay.
Dessler's my last name, so that's spelled D for David, E for Edward, double S for Sam, L for Larry, E for Edward, R for Robert, P for Peter, C for Charlie.com.
.com. All right.
You can also reach me in the office by phone, 212-729-8233. Anytime.
Got you. And you can all find that on mtm.com radio. Look for it.
mtmrecordsmusic.com.
All of that what she just said.
We'll have it there.
But what you just asked, you answered that
Times
question.
at Universal.
Yes. There we go. I like that subject.
It was great. I really enjoyed it. It was probably the perfect experience, and you couldn't get probably a better introduction to the music business and to doing entertainment work than working in-house as a business affairs executive at what was then and still is the world's largest music company.
Right. Yeah.
So I really, after 14 years, you walk away and you say, well, I think I've done every single possible contract there is to do in
that
this business.
Possibly exist.
That
And then I've
Possibly
made
exist,
up
right?
a
Yeah.
few that didn't exist beforehand.
Oh man.
And I've seen really the extremes in just how far you can get on a superstar deal, what a new artist gets. And I've worked with the senior executives at the corporate global level.
Okay.
So you see what goes into decision making and strategic transactions. So it's very. I really got a huge range of experiences from doing record deals with artists who just wanted an extra $10,000 to buy a new van to drive around the country in on tour, to negotiating strategic acquisitions for, $200, $300, $400 million to try to buy assets or sell assets or do joint ventures. So you learn the business inside. In my position, and I guess I really tried to take advantage of it, I learned the whole business inside and out and how the whole machine works.
Okay.
And that was
'Cause
a perfect setup to go into private practice.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you too. You had this is your practice. This is
Correct.
what you do.
My own
All right.
practice.
So, real quick, I don't know if I'm putting something together here, but you work for the Legal Advocate, which is a magazine that does what?
So the Legal Advocate is actually I like to say, a superhero magazine.
Okay.
The reason why I call it
I
a
like
superhero
superheroes.
magazine, legal superhero magazine, is because people are out around the world looking for answers to things that may impact them legally.
Right.
They may have a parent inside of a nursing home who's being abused. They may have an incident that happened on the job. They got hurt at work, and the job is now trying to get rid of them, and they don't know their rights. So what our magazine actually does, it's a free magazine. We give it away for free, but it gets into the hands of people who may not be aware of strategies and resources that they have at their fingertips. So we have a readership of about 100,000 right now.
Okay.
Through the magazine, through Instagram, through Facebook. And so, yeah, it's really a magazine for the people.
What's the name of the magazine?
The Legal Advocate.
The
Legal Advocate. Yes.
So are you in the magazine?
I'm not. I haven't been invited to be. But,
Well, this is
this is
we all
a great
get in
time.
the magazine?
like that's what I was going to
Definitely.
ask. Like,
We
how can we?
definitely-
Can anybody pretty
So,
much?
Yeah, how does it
so
work?
more or less being
Because
that
I'm not a
I-
lawyer. So.
Being that being that
You might not have that pull.
You know what I mean?
Being that we're not lawyers.
being that I am in the marketing department of the magazine, we definitely love to have you advertise with us or possibly write a story in reference to entertainment law that would impact somebody who may not have heard the radio station on MTM, or who may be unaware with the work of the legal expertise of Mr. Dessler, and get a chance to see that in their home. You know, that's one of the joys of like magazines. For a lot of people who don't know, I've worked for, this is the 7th magazine that I've worked for in my lifetime.
Oh, nice.
This is the one that I'm most passionate about.
Okay.
I worked for American Jewish Congress for their Judaism Journal.
Okay.
And I broke the record for the most ads in a single issue every year I was there, from 2008 all the way to 2000, from 2000 to 2008. Back
That's
to back.
awesome.
And that got me into Marquis Who's Who in America. But so passionate about this thing. But the Legal Advocate, you know, American Jewish Congress is one of the oldest civil rights organizations in the United States. But the Legal Advocate, a lot of people want to know different things around legal aspects.
Yeah,
and they
so
don't
that's
have
what me.
legal friends.
Okay. Right.
And so what this is
Right.
I call it a superhero magazine because it brings the superhero into the presence of those who are needing help. So it's almost like, you know how Batman signals shines out on the sky, but this brings it inside. So people go, oh,
Yeah, they get the information.
for real?
Yeah, yeah.
I fell at the job and they want to get rid of me? Oh, I have a case. Let me call this lawyer who wrote this article, you know?
Or somebody just tried to steal my lyrics.
Right,
Or
right,
if you
exactly.
just-
right.
Or
So,
if you just purchase, like someone like myself, who just purchased a recent LLC, you don't really know the ins and outs about. Because I've purchased one almost not a year, but almost a year ago.
Okay.
So there's some things that I get back that like if they're like if you want to file as S corp or this corp, and if you want to do this and that, I have to send in like a manual,
Right.
how much a sales tax is. If not, when I missed the first date, I got like an estimate which was like $900 when in actuality it's supposed to be like 60. So it's confusing a little bit. It's a little challenging.
yeah, that's
so I
why.
can see where that could help. That could
Yeah,
come
that's
in.
and that's one of the reasons why you definitely need legal advice. Like having the number to Mr. Dessler, or having the number to the Legal Advocate or the magazine. You can find resources that's gonna help you.
Right.
Because if you don't know, like
Yeah,
you
answer
said,
these
what you don't know
questions.
will hurt you.
Yes.
You know what I
for
mean?
sure.
All the
Oh,
time.
yeah,
all the
for
time.
sure.
Which also brings me to my next question for Mr. Dessler.
yes.
What was the biggest deal that you did that had you up all night? Because I know some lawyers that, like, yeah, I know lawyers personally. Like, I grew up working around lawyers and with some lawyers in the, like, patent field for patent and stuff, you know, getting patents and legal documents and stuff. And I know for a fact that there were some nights when I was there with them and we literally worked from probably 12 the one day to 12 the next day around the clock. So has there ever been an entertainment deal that kept you up until Thursday from Thursday?
I don't think I have enough hands and fingers to
count
go
how
through
many times.
as many the number of times that either I was up all night or I was up until maybe 5 or 6 and
The next day.
tried to get sleep for 2 hours, 3 hours, and then went back to it. So
Right.
there have part of it might be the nature of my personality.
Okay.
I work to get it done and to get it done really the best in the best way possible and
Okay.
make sure everything's right. And
That's
that,
why MTM has you here, because we.
It's
did
a
our-
good- it's a good
Sasha
fit
did
then.
her
we
homework.
recognize that and we love that.
She did her homework.
That's amazing.
that might be how some of these matters landed on my desk in the first place,
Yes.
but there have been numerous deals that either required being up all night or there was one or two where we basically camped out in a law firm's one of their guest offices, and we were kind of there for like 2 days. I think we
Okay.
got I think somehow we got food poisoning, but we stayed there from
What
some
did you
order
eat?
in.
What'd you eat?
They ordered in Thai food for us,
Yeah,
and
well, that did it.
we
That's-
hunkered on through.
That's rather
Wow.
unfortunate.
Yeah,
It's rather unfortunate.
that's crazy.
The deal involved people involved in the deal were in Europe and in America and in and New York and California. So we were juggling
3 different time zones.
almost
Or-
four.
Almost
Because
four.
I
I was gonna
think
say
four,
Paris,
yeah, yeah.
Paris was like a year ahead of England, of London, and New
It's
York.
an hour ahead. Yes, that's true. Yes.
And we just New York is kind of the sweet spot. You can be up for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The,
'Cause
the
yeah.
folks
we
in California
never
can go to
sleep.
sleep. The people in London go to
Just
sleep. We
but
were
you just-
we were kind of up all night
Yeah.
for a couple of nights in a row. There have been a lot of deals like that, and the numbers were very large for usually for an acquisition.
Wow.
The numbers got into it was real money.
Wow.
What exactly is an acquisition? Like, what does
Acquisition
that
is when
mean?
you this might be circular when you acquire something. So like when you buy.
Okay.
So it might be buying another recorded music company
Okay.
or buying a catalog of records. So you might say
Like Michael Jackson bought the Beatles.
yes.
Okay.
Like he bought their publishing catalog, which was brilliant.
Wow.
He bought the ATV catalog, which was
Okay. So for people that don't understand, like me, I don't understand.
It's very difficult.
Like real. In simplest terms, you can put it in. What does that mean when you buy someone's, like, how he did it? What does that mean for the person buying it? Like,
well, let's see. In the case of let's take Michael Jackson buying ATV.
okay.
It has a long history, but it was so valuable because part of the songs it owned were written by Paul McCartney and John Lennon.
Right.
So it had all the Beatles songs, or at least John Lennon's and Paul McCartney's interests in the songs, and they
Right.
basically co-wrote and had co-writing credit on almost every Beatles song except the few that George Harrison wrote and
Right.
Ringo.
Right.
That I think was originally Northern Songs, and then somebody came along and bought that company, and then a few others. You had like this is like one of those Russian dolls, you know.
Yeah.
everything
It's
keeps
just
getting-
everybody
it's
keeps
just-
putting.
and eventually you
Okay.
have ATV, which has a lot of other songs in it. So
Right.
when you buy music publishing,
Uh-huh.
music publishing refers to the side of the business that involves songs, musical compositions, or musical works. It has
Okay.
nothing directly in terms of ownership or the business has to do with sound recordings or records.
Okay.
Although that's how you make a lot of money on the publishing
Right,
side.
right.
So really, what you're acquiring are copyright interests in songs,
Okay.
and what you're really buying for that value are the royalty streams, the income streams that are derived from the different rights under copyright
Okay. I got
for
you.
a song. So when you say I own the Beatles catalog,
Right.
what you really own is the right to collect and allow, putting aside any restrictions and everything else, at its base level, you are acquiring copyrights
Right.
and the income streams associated with that.
Oh, okay.
So, and
Keyword
it's-
income streams.
Yeah.
and
We like that. We like that word.
some people say publishing is like a business of pennies, but
Right.
the pennies add up very
Yes,
quickly.
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
And it's almost like an annuity or a bond. Here you are, it's 2018,
Yeah.
and the Beatles catalog is still going strong. And
This is true.
if you wrote a song in the 60s and that's all you did, and that's certainly not what any of the Beatles did, they went on to do a lot more.
Right.
But you can almost kind of consider a scene where somebody just sits on a sofa and gets up every 3 weeks to the mailbox to collect the check.
Yes,
Right.
I picture that every night I fall asleep.
One of our goals,
Yes,
right? I say
yes.
one of my goals.
Yes,
Yeah,
I would love to do
it
that.
sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So- Acquiring, I'm sorry, but acquiring publishing really means you're buying
The rights.
The copyrights or the
rights.
administration
Okay.
rights. If
Right.
you're buying
So-
recorded music,
so
you're
now,
buying the copyrights.
How does that affect the artist? When you buy, like you said, he bought the copyrights
Mm-hmm.
and he owns the music. How does that affect what the artist now owns?
what John and Paul get?
Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
They're cut.
How would they would get a cut
on,
of
on
that?
a first
or-
name basis.
Yeah, I see.
Well, there's
Right.
going all the way back to the beginning, or just any deal that might have. Let's just assume it's a deal that happened yesterday with somebody. There's an underlying agreement between the publishing company, the music publisher, and the songwriter, and it sets out the terms of the copyright ownership. It sets out what they can and cannot do in terms of licensing or using the song.
Okay.
And most importantly for the artist, it sets out the royalty terms.
Right.
Every time we get this type of income, says the music publisher, we'll credit to your account, you the songwriter, a royalty.
Okay.
So there are, 3, 4, maybe 5 different income streams with the copyrights in a song. So you usually will go through and list and negotiate what the royalty is for each one of those income streams, whether it's
Oh, man.
sheet music or something called a mechanical royalty,
Right.
which is what you get paid for somebody putting your song, making a record, a recording of your song.
Like a sample.
Well, a sample is a sample would require a payment, but that's actually, I'll say that it's a derivative work. So that
Okay.
means that what you're doing is you're taking, and a sample can be, we're dealing with 2 copyrights.
Yeah,
You
right.
can either sample only the song, which means that you have somebody in the studio replay it, or maybe there's something about the original the original recording that you can't mimic. So you use the recording, in which case you have to get clearances from usually the publisher
Sure.
who owns the song
Right.
and the record company that owns the recording you
Recordings.
sampled.
Okay.
Okay. That's
But
what's up. Right.
I guess there's an example that was recent in terms of sampling, which was kind of an interesting.
'Cause-
For entertainment lawyers, it might be interesting. The Taylor Swift song, "Ooh, Look What You Made Me Do."
I know that song.
Yeah.
All right, if you look at the writing credits, like on a website like BMI or ASCAP,
Okay.
you'll notice that there's Taylor Swift listed as a songwriter, and there is her producer, I forget his name, who's listed as a songwriter. But then there's 3 other fellows. I think 2 of them might be, I forget their last names, Fabrizio or something. The 3 guys, and those 3 guys are Right Said Fred.
Right.
Right Said Fred had the song "I'm Too Sexy." The reason why she credits them is
Okay.
because there's a portion of the melody of "Look What You Made Me Do" that I guess the feeling was before she released the record was very similar to the melody of a portion of "I'm Too Sexy."
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
I suppose to avoid problems, it
Right.
probably was unconscious. She reached out to them. I don't know the story personally,
right.
but I'm
Right.
assuming there was a phone call. Right Said Fred, who had their hits in the 90s, got
Right.
it. And, the question was Taylor Swift, parenthesis, the biggest artist in the world, wants to sample or get
song.
approval to use a part of your song in the first single off of her next album, which will probably be the biggest album of the year. So I'm sure it took them about 10 seconds to say,
Say
yes.
Yeah.
But so now they have a piece of the song. I don't know how much.
Okay,
But
so-
that goes back to sitting on your sofa
Right.
collecting
That's how you
money.
okay.
They wrote
'Cause they
"I'm
wrote
Too
something.
Sexy" in the 90s.
Yeah.
And now look, it's part of Taylor
2018
Swift's song.
and-
Right.
2018, they're still
Right.
getting checks.
Check.
So I guess my next question, real quick, because we're gonna have to wrap this up. One more time before I ask my question, where can they find you?
They can find me on the internet at my website, DesslerPC.com, or by phone in New York, 212-729-8233. And Dessler PC is spelled D for David, E for Edward, double S for Sam, L for Larry, E for Edward, R for Robert, P for Peter, C for Charlie.
.com.
.com.
And that will be on mtnrecordsmusic.com as well.
I didn't have to do it this time. And soon, hopefully, in the Lawyer's Advocate. Y'all will work
Very
that out.
well.
So
yeah.
where can we find you? Give
Yes.
us your
So you can
your
find
website
me.
information.
So you can find me online at Pastor Arthur Superman Barnes, my IG handle.
Okay.
You can find me also at thelegaladvocate.com. You can find me as well on Keller Williams page because I do real estate, national and international relocation expert. So you can find me at www.kwnyc.com.
Got you. All right. That's good. Now everybody knows where they can find both of y'all. I have stalkers already.
Where can we
'cause,
find you, Larry? Tell us where you can find, because you're gonna pop the
Right
information
here.
up.
You can find me right here.
And Larry's gonna have the information.
MT.
So tell us where we can find you on Instagram.
Instagram.
And
It's MMT Radio Mix at Instagram. That's the only place I'm at. Look for me there.
And then you'll also be on MTN Records Music.
Yes, you can also find me there. Or
We'll
you
have
can get in
your
touch with
link there
Shasha and
as
she'll
well.
send it
Or
over.
you can get in touch with me.
There you go.
So I want to thank you guys for coming. I really
Definitely.
appreciate your time.
Well, thanks very much
I feel
for
like it
having
was
us.
so informative,
Yes.
especially all the information that you have. I'm gonna, because I get the footage with
Yes.
like a little later on tonight, so I'm
Yes.
gonna go over it tomorrow and go over some things that I feel like are good tips to myself. I have peers who don't know certain things that I learned today that I can share, as well as your magazine that I feel like in the future or even
Now.
other and now exactly whatever you have up now that might be informative to new entrepreneurs or even entrepreneurs who are trying to get into different fields, music wise, small business wise. So we'll have that all listed up, and then we'll have it tomorrow for you guys.
Well,
So thank
Great.
you
we're going to
for
bring
coming.
Arthur back for the second part of the show. He's not going nowhere because I
Okay,
kidnapped him for
cool.
Sunday.
Okay, cool.
But, we're going to go to some music